Read a Psalm a Day. Pastor Steve here, giving you Tuesday, September 15th edition of our RAPAD Rapid series. We happen to be in Psalm 137 today. Special shout out edition to the birthday boy today. I won't say who they are, but there's a happy birthday today. Yes, there is. And we are in Psalm 137. And guess what? This is a very strange psalm. One of the things about going through scripture chapter by chapter or verse by verse and doing daily devotions on it is a person has to read and study and meditate and pray and then find something to bring a devotional thought out of every passage of scripture. And Psalms generally is pretty easy, but this psalm, Psalm 137, is kind of a depressing psalm. The psalmist is feeling negative. They're in captivity. So I'm going to read just a small portion of it, and then I'm going to try to bring application to our lives. Okay? Does that make sense for you and I? Let's read Psalm 137. I have it in the NLT version today. And here it is in front of you. Psalm 137, NLT. Beside the rivers of Babylon, we sat and we thought of Jerusalem. So they're in captivity. They're in Babylon. They've been carried off to a foreign country. We put away our harps, hanging them on the branches of poplar trees, for our captors demanded a song from us. Our tormentors insisted on a joyful hymn. Sing us one of those songs of Jerusalem. But how can we sing the songs of the Lord while in a pagan land? If I forget you, O Jerusalem. So the idea is they're in a foreign land. Their captors are being mean to them. They don't want to forget their homeland, and they don't want to perform for their captors. That's the idea of where we are, okay? Back to me, and we're going to talk about this and try to find application. So it opens up, beside the rivers of Babylon, we sat and wept as we thought of Jerusalem. Let's apply this. Beside my computer, as I do online devotions, sitting beside my mask and hand sanitizer, I wept and thought of the days before the virus. Right? This is where you're at. I've talked to many of you, and no matter what county you're in, what state you're in, no matter how prevalent it is or not, how much it affects your life or it doesn't on a daily basis, everybody's affected by it. Things have changed. It's a crazy world. Whoever thought that Disneyland would close down, or that sports teams wouldn't be able to play, or they'd have to come back and play without audiences, or that schools would do all digital learning, or that travel would be restricted, or all these crazy things. And it's not just this. Think of other marked times in your life. Beside the rivers of Babylon, the times of captivity where you were forced to be somewhere and do something you really didn't want to do, and you wept and you thought of the days before. Okay? Some of you have gone through tough things. The death of a child, and you sit by the grave and you weep of what it was like before that happened. The dissolution of a marriage, and you sit beside your children and you weep over the marriage that was and the hopes and the promises that were there. The business that you started that seemed to be a really good business, but you didn't realize something like a worldwide event like this would happen. And now your business is failing, and you sat beside your financial advisor and you wept over what could have been, what should have been, but what isn't. So I don't understand this psalm completely, but I do understand where the psalmist is coming from. He's coming from a place of sadness and weeping and grief over where I am now. And you could say not by his own choices, but it was kind of by his own choices in a sense, because the nation of Israel goes into captivity because the Israelites quit being obedient to the Lord their God. So in a sense, he's a part of a nation who's weeping that they're in captivity, but they're in captivity as a result of their lack of obedience to the commands of God. They went the way of the world, and then the way of the world is the strong oppress the weak, and the strong, the Babylonians, came and captured them. But either way, Many of us are in a place where we don't want to be, not necessarily by our own direct choices, but maybe the indirect choices of being a part of society that's turned its back on God. And then we weep over what would have been in our marriage, with our family, in our business, in our health, in our world. Verse 2, we put away our harps, hanging them on the branches. And verse 3 is interesting. For our captors demanded a song from us. Our tormentors insisted on a joyful hymn. It's not just that you're in captivity, it's that your captors are tormenting you, saying you have to act and sing and be joyful. You have to fit in with us. We're the Babylonians. You're in Babylon. Be like us. Act like us. Live like us. Participate in our decadent lifestyle. And that's kind of, I guess, a branch I'm branching off on this is, it says in Scripture that Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Well, in my experience, Satan doesn't come out with horns and a mask and a pitchfork and say, I want to cook your flesh alive, follow me. It doesn't work. It's more of the Hansel and Gretel thing. Or the Pied Piper thing. Beep, 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 beep. He comes out maybe like the Babylonians did, with all these promises of a better life here and great finances and success and follow the popular trend, be like everybody else, follow the American dream. You know what I'm saying. Satan doesn't come out saying, I'm going to cook your flesh, I'm going to put you in captivity, I'm going to make your life miserable. Promising us, what is it? The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, right? And the one kid, I don't know which one it was, but they promised them the Turkish delights, the delicacies. Come follow me, the witch says, and I'll give you these delicacies that'll make you happy. But in the end, he was a captor, and he was tormented. And that's how it is with us. The very things that we think will make us happy. As Christians, we look around the world and we think, this will make me happy, that'll make me happy. I want to be just like the Babylonians. This is what I need. Oh, this is exciting. And then we're captive. It says that in the New Testament, that we get ensnared, captive by our own flesh, by the sins that lead us astray and lead to death. And then Satan is not a good taskmaster. He will torment us and make fun of us. And so the psalmist says here in verse 4, how can we sing the songs of the Lord while in a pagan land? Well, you can't, really. All you can do is mourn. If I forget you, O Jerusalem. Don't forget. Here's the personal application. Don't forget what it's like to live under the blessing of the Lord, to live under the shadow of his wings, to live in Psalm 23, and let God lead us into those green pastures and by the still waters, and for him to restore our soul. Don't forget that. You can't sing songs of the Lord while in a pagan land. You can't glorify God while you're living among the Babylonians in the captivity that many of them don't even see is captivity. Your eyes have been enlightened to the truth of who God is. Be set free. Come back to Christ. Walk according to his plans for your life and live with grace and truth and lead others out from that same Babylonian captivity. As happened with the Israelites, yes, God brought redemption. There was always a remnant. There was restoration, and they came back to be the people of God. Don't stay in Babylon any longer. That's my encouragement to you today from Psalm 137. Thanks for joining me. Back tomorrow with more rapid read a psalm.